All right, we've come pretty far, haven't we? You've got a sense of how to create posts and moderate your comments and set up your links and create static pages. What's exciting here is really I guess you could say the administration aspects of WordPress are pretty much done. We've gotten through all that good stuff. The items that relate to really running your blog on a regular basis. So now what we can do is we can really turn our focus over to customizing your blog. And really, this is where all of the fun stuff happens. But of course, before you get to customizing things, you've really got to have a sense of how you actually run your blog. So as I say, now that we're through all that stuff, we can focus on customization. Now, one of the first things that you'll want to do to customize your blog is to edit your personal profile and possibly make some changes to your personal profile. What you can do there is you can set which editor gets used by default when you create new posts, either that visual editor or the built-in HTML editor. You can also set a variety of personal information like a personal bio, your website URL, and so on. And this content may appear on your blog depending on the theme that is currently driving your blog. You can also change your password as well. Okay, so let's get into this. Let's take a look at how we can go about customizing and editing your profile. So over on the left-hand side, on that left-hand nav menu, I'm going to go and expand the users area there. And then go ahead and click on your profile. Now what that will do, of course, is that'll bring up your profile settings for your account that you've created for your blog here. Now what we can do here, I'm just going to scroll down a little bit. We have personal options. Visual editor. Disable the visual editor when editing or writing new posts. So in other words, if you turn this fella off, then what that means is by default, when we go to create a new post, the HTML editor is going to be used. So this is entirely up to you. If you're comfortable with HTML, if you use it a lot, or if you're pulling a lot of content out of Dreamweaver, for example, and creating new posts out of that content, well, then you can use your HTML editor by default. I'm going to keep mine turned off, though. I'm going to use the visual editor by default. The admin color scheme, we have two options here. We can use the gray color scheme, which is the default, or you can switch over to blue. It's entirely up to you what you decide to use there. And then below that, we have keyboard shortcuts. Enable keyboard shortcuts for comment moderation. You can certainly get into that, especially if you're running a popular blog that has a lot of comments and therefore a lot of comment moderation that needs to happen. And if you want, you can click on this more information link and read up a little bit on your keyboard shortcuts for comment moderation. I'm going to keep mine turned off for now. I'll scroll down just a little bit into the name area. There's our username. Now we can't change our username once it's been set up. And then we have our first name and our last name, and then what's referred to as our nickname inside WordPress. And then below that, display name publicly as, and then we can choose how we want our name to be displayed on our blog. So when we go and reply to comments or when we create new posts and so on. So you can certainly set that up if you like. Below that, we have our contact information. So our email address, for example. You could type in your website URL if you have one. If you're working with instant messaging applications, you can add in your AIM address there, your Yahoo IM, your Google Talk there if you like as well. And then below that, you have your bio information. So if you want, you can talk a little bit about yourself, your background, perhaps some unique expertise that you have. And this content, your bio, may be shown on your blog, again, depending on the theme that's being used. All right, last but not least, we have our password. We can go and change our password. Right now, because this is just for demonstration purposes, my password is simply admin, which is incredibly weak. But what I could do is I could go and type in a stronger password if I want. Maybe something like this. And of course, I'd have to duplicate that again inside the the additional field there, and I'm going to get this strength indicator. And again, if you want strong passwords, make sure to use uppercase and lowercase characters, numbers and symbols, such as the symbols that they're suggesting here. So you can always go and change that password. I would highly recommend that you use very strong passwords for your admin accounts here on WordPress. And of course, once you're finished setting up your profile info, be sure to click on Update Profile. Otherwise, all of the changes that you just made inside this profile screen will be lost. All right, there you go. There's setting up your profile, your custom profile on your WordPress account.